The scoreboard said 176. It did not say domination. The scoreboard said 256. It did not say urgency. The scoreboard said 97 not out. It did not say elimination. Yesterday was a reminder. Numbers tell you what happened, but they do not tell you what it means. Hello and welcome to Deep Point. My name is Chinmay along with Sanlaf. And here we go beyond scorecards and talk about the stories and narratives that shape the game. Sanlaf, let us unpack these two matches, really important matches. Let's discuss what happened and what stood out and the rest of it.
Yeah, I think one was at Ahmedabad, one was at Chennai. That was the biggest similarity between the matches was the pitch. I think both were having built-up tracks, the pitches that we know that exist in India. Chennai pitch is kind of it has been a shocker for a lot of people all throughout this tournament. We did never expected Chennai to be acting so batting friendly, and the way runs have been coming in on this track, we could see that it was always on the cards that the daddy score of one Indian innings, and yesterday it happened. And so far as the other match was concerned, I think that was extremely important for India because any here and there in that match would have changed India's attitude absolutely. So I think that was one of the very desirable results that came from that match so far as India is concerned. And yeah, so South Africa was brilliant, and West Indies came back to the West Indies we always knew, that unpredictable so far as flawless batting, flawless bowling. But yesterday, everything fell apart on a very, very batting friendly pitch. And hopefully that will stay on Sunday as well. And India will be qualifying in the quarterfinals, semi-finals.
Yeah. Let's break these matches down a bit. So South Africa chased 176. West Indies were stuttering at initial phase. They were 6 or 7 down, but then Holder 49 and Shepherd 52 not out. That partnership actually opened the match for West Indies. They came back brilliantly, and it was a fighting total. Then came Eden Markram, as he always does. Brilliant 82 of 46. And obviously, Decock, 47 of 24, set up the match for them. Talk a bit about South Africa's batting, but before that, how West Indies came back to the match and the kind of batting lineup, destructive batting lineup they have, and talk a bit about that. West Indies batting and South African batting, and then we'll move to their bowling.
Yeah, so basically, like if we look at West Indies batting, so they had a good start. So I do not know. I think it was a strategic mistake from Markram that they started with Maharaj. There was no
Mm,
such reason to start with Maharaj, and West Indies capitalized that very strongly, very firmly, but for not very long. So that entire the start that they got, it was short-lived, but the entire batting lineup was destroyed by Rabada and Ngidi, and all of a sudden they were 82 for 7. So yeah, so kind after that, and now just think about West Indies batting lineup in which on which art you have a player like Romario Shepherd coming at number 9. So I was just wondering that how deep this batting lineup runs, and thanks to that batting lineup, West Indies could score a mammoth score, which was looking mammoth given the fact that they were 7 down, even under 100. And from that stage, reaching a point of 176 is insane. I think that was a massive comeback by both Holder and Shepherd. And I think also there were some bowling mistakes after some point, especially Marco Janssen. He was looking very clueless at one point when he was bowling to these two, because Marco Janssen generally capitalizes on his height, and he was, taken down by another batsman who is extremely tall, that is Jason Holder. So
Mm,
there we saw that if Marco Janssen, if he is facing a batsman who has, long reach and who has, very long levers, then Marco Janssen can be taken down, and sometimes Marco Janssen can really look helpless. So that is one thing that I observed yesterday. Otherwise,
mm,
I think this is a dream tournament for Lungi Ngidi. I'm just looking at him and the way he's bringing up his slowers every game, and if he's picking up, is like a recipe of disaster for the opponent. And having a bowler like Lungi Ngidi and the kind of form that he is right now in is such a positive for Markram. I'm just wondering that there was a point when South Africa started off really well, and after that initial hiccup that was given by Rabada, then Ngidi, he just ripped through that top orders, and he's doing that almost in every match. He's not letting any batsman, score very freely against him. Very, very big positive. I think, yeah. So Lungi Ngedi is one such bowler that I'm actually, that has surprised me in this tournament. We mentioned in the squad analysis that he will come up with his
mm,
slowers, and he has developed a very, very profound skill of, delivering, very deceiving slowers. Now, the way it has worked in this entire tournament, it's really really great to see. And otherwise, I think West Indies batting till the point when Jason Holder and Shepherd came, it looked really ordinary. I don't know why no batsman even tried to, taking the innings a little bit, stretched, and taking a little bit break from hitting those long shots. Everyone tried to hit the ball for a six and four. Just the mistake that was committed by India also the other day,
mm.
uh, without taking the ones and twos, without going for a long innings, going for the big innings. I think that was one of the reasons why West Indies actually fell short of at least 30, 40 runs yesterday.
I think West Indies collapse again is what we discussed in one of those videos where we talked about strike rotation, right? And we discussed about how the team's philosophy and identity and how team management is thinking about the style of or the philosophy of a particular team. I think that's what is creating all the problem. I think West Indies is also thinking that we are a team which will keep on striking and score those 230, 250 kind of a score and bat the opposition out of the game. But it doesn't happen against a quality bowling attack. And you also have to read the pitch, and based on that, you have to uh, think how you should approach your batting because those two lower middle order batters scored those 40s or 50s. West Indies were almost, means the score could have been
Done.
around
Was
110, 120, right? So then it was match over for them. So also, I think, and I want your take on this. Do you think that teams are, after looking at the batting lineup of South Africa, the teams are thinking that they have to put up a score of say 220 to 30 to win matches. That might not be true. True assessment of the team and the situation, because that is unnecessarily putting too much pressure to your batting lineup. Agreed that you have big hitters, but they also need some time to adjust. So, what's your take on this, and how you look at this situation, and how should teams approach matches against South Africa a bit differently?
Yeah, so yesterday's pitch was a very batting friendly pitch, and most South
Mm,
Africa is mostly playing their matches in Ahmedabad. So I think there is a chance that where the pitch is mostly batting friendly, unless it's night time, and if it is if it's a perfect black soil pitch of Ahmedabad, then sometimes that pitch gets a little bit double paced. But otherwise, Ahmedabad has been preparing, very batting friendly pitches. Yesterday's pitch was also extremely batting friendly. Now that was a reason why West Indies wanted to, and they were also riding on the confidence from the previous match that they scored a mammoth score of 254 against Zimbabwe. They were already, boiling with confidence. But the problem is that they wanted to, copy and paste the same performance in this case. What I think is a little bit more sensible batting could have taken them to 210 yesterday. The kind of pitch that
Mhm.
it was offering, and the kind of depth that they had in their batting. So no batsman in the middle order, absolutely. So everyone wanted to just, hit the ball out of the park. I don't know, like Powell, Rutherford, Ruston Chase, they all are, all can take the innings long and they have the capability, but somehow they were having this idea that we will have to score, 240, 250 to, restrict this South Africa. But I think even 210 to 220 would have put South Africa under pressure. So
Mhm.
no matter how strong their batting lineup is, because we know that if sensible bowling is started from the very beginning, then South Africa top order can really gift the wickets to the bowlers. So that is also there. But yeah, somehow West Indies, I think their strategy didn't work.
Also, I think South Africa, and let's move the discussion to South Africa and how they have been playing, say, for 1 year or 2 years. I think South Africa finally have started to shade their knockout, crumbling under pressure or knockout pressure or chokers
Yes,
kind of
yes,
a
at
narrative,
times.
and they are looking almost a complete team with a lot of preparation, and they are much more strategic this time. They are planning better. So as a team, you have to now look at South Africa as Australia used to be
Yes,
at
yes,
some
yes,
point of
yes,
time,
yes.
and approach the game in that way. And also there used to be a time when South Africa used to collapse as a batting lineup, collapse against the spinners. That is also not happening. So they are a much more improved team right now, and I think teams should look at the strengths and weaknesses from a fresh perspective and should not have any baggage of, say, or any
Biases, any
preconceived
biases,
biases
preconceived.
and preconceived notions of what South Africa used to be and the kind of narrative around that team, and uh, make better strategies, have better approaches. You can't just
Hmm.
bat them out of the game. You have to you have to approach the 40 overs in phases and plan for, say, each 5 overs or each 10 overs, and both in batting and bowling you have to be better prepared against them. And if you can do that, then obviously you can beat them. They are not unbeatable. Obviously they are one of the strong teams that we have in this tournament, and we should look at them like that only. So I think New Zealand is equally important, and they are also a team that many teams should
Definitely.
consider and approach and look at in similar way. And that's how teams should think about how they can put them under pressure and win against them. Let's move to the other match, India versus Zimbabwe. I think, as you mentioned, India finally now have come back to their original form that they had, batting form. But there, I saw some issues and concerns in India's bowling. So let's first start with India's batting. I think India hit 17 sixes, which is a record in ICC T20 tournament. And Abhishek Sharma scored 55. Inclusion into the team, as we were means shouting out in this channel, and we had multiple conversations in our WhatsApp chats, and whenever we have met, that Sanju must be there in the team, not just to score, say, 50, 60, 70 runs, but just to score those 20 30 runs in a quick fashion, and that can inject the energy into the batting lineup, and that can stop the initial collapse from happening. And also, I think Sanju is like that catalyst in the team that will actually take all the other batters into that kind of an energy and put them on track, and that is what was needed. So let's talk about India's batting, the individual performances, the importance of Sanju's inclusion, and the way forward. So for the upcoming matches, how they should approach West Indies game, and then semis, and if we reach finals, how should they approach their batting?
Yeah, one thing that we repeatedly were mentioning was you cannot have three lefties to start with. So that's a very, very unscientific approach. So, in our video where we were discussing about India's last match debacle, so we kind of, shouted, as you mentioned, that Sanju needs to be included, even if not, if he might be in his worst of form, but he should be included just for the fact that he's a righty, because you cannot
Mm,
have three lefties to start. Just look at this entire scenario. What actually Sanju's inclusion made things happen. So had Sanju not been there, had India repeated their same order, then I can give you almost a 200% guarantee that Zimbabwe's bowling would have started with Sikandar Raza, and there was a
yeah,
high probability that we would have lost another wicket in the first over itself.
absolutely.
So this is something that Sanju brings. Sanju is wiping out the problem that India was facing, that predictability that India's batting lineup was having, the kind of ease that opposition strategy has, that if there are three lefties, I will start with an offie. So that probability is wiped out when Sanju is facing. So if Sanju is
Mm,
facing, no off spinner will come to bowl in the first over, because even the second over also, because against a right hander, an off spinner with not that much of a caliber, when the power play is on, when there are fielding restrictions, they might be going for an over of around 22 23. So it's very, very, probable, and that might take away the match from you. So nobody will take that risk. Now, that doesn't mean that, once Sanju is, exposed to any pacer, Sanju will not be dismissed in the first over itself. But
mm,
even if he is dismissed, the fact that it did not start off the way a team is expecting, so that is something that we had to stop, because it was becoming
mm,
too predictable. You cannot be predictable. Okay.
mm,
Now, what Sanju brought, Sanju's innings is not one of his best. Even in Indian innings also, it was not one of the best, performances. But what Sanju contributed to the innings was he contributed a partnership in the opening pair, so which was not coming for India, number one, and he kind of drifted the thought processes of the entire bowling unit, that the attention to dismiss Abhishek, that was shifted a little bit because Sanju was taking them down. So if
mm,
Sanju starts taking them down, then their attention to dismiss Abhishek early, that gets shifted to Sanju, and Abhishek can have that buffer of getting a little bit set, and then Abhishek also can play his shots.
mm,
Otherwise, if Abhishek is becoming the primary concern, then Abhishek, it is very difficult for any batsman to survive in a T20 setup, where you need to hit the ball, and you are also almost every time you are having a focus from the other bowling unit, that you are to be dismissed. So that creates a lot of pressure, especially when you are not informed. So the entire buffer that Abhishek got yesterday because of Sanju, I think it's not about Sanju's 25 odd runs. His contribution was there in Abhishek's 55 also. That's the effect of Sanju Samson that India enjoyed yesterday. And later
mm.
on, if I'm looking at India's batting lineup, what
Just want to add one point here as we will move to the middle order now. So just think about what this inclusion also ensuring. It is ensuring that we have three openers. So there is a backup opener. Even if, so say one of Sanju or Abhishek gets out early, we have Ishan
Ishan.
Kishan as the backup opener. So he is not just our number three, he is also our backup opener, and he can continue that tempo and then momentum, and
Within
that is
power play.
also within power play, and that is allowing Sanju and Abhishek to be a bit freer than they can be. They are not thinking about, if I get out, what will happen, because next
True.
Ishan Kishan will come and he will again play big shots, and that is what has changed in this batting lineup and in top three, because the rest of the batting lineup is, and as now you will discuss, so rest of the batting lineup is also looking good, because we already have a good start, and they are
Exactly.
now, they
Exactly.
can take a bit of time and then
Exactly.
play their shots. This inclusion is ensuring that each of our batters have a bit more time to get set and then play their shots. It's not
Exactly.
like they were playing the shots because they were not responsible. They do not have that game, or they do not. They're not. They're just flamboyant and playing those shots. The structure was such that they had to play their shots and they were getting out. The moment Tilak was coming at number three, that is creating a lot of pressure for Tilak, because
Yes.
a player like Tilak, he can't just come and play shots against the new ball and new bowlers, because that's not his game. His game is in, say, number four, number five, and he can play both anchor and the finishing role, as we saw last match. So let's move to the middle order, and how this inclusion and this top three has changed the color of the middle order also.
Yes, since you mentioned Tilak, Tilak is not having the game that is required to play right after 1 over. So the problem is
Hmm.
Tilak, the way Tilak was used, Tilak could not capitalize 100% of his abilities because of the fact that there was always a wicket falling in the first over itself, and from the first over itself, Tilak was exposed to a new ball and the power play setup. So Tilak, what
Hmm.
happened yesterday, Tilak came at 6, and by then, the kind of score that India was already having, Tilak was
Hmm.
extremely clear within his mind what he has to do. And we saw that what he can do, if he is clear within his thoughts. Tilak needs clarity. That
Hmm.
one thing I have observed about Tilak. Tilak can take the game long. Tilak can hit the ball long also. Tilak has, complete game. So he's
Hmm.
a complete player. He's not a weak player. But the problem is, if you are not clearing what is required out of him, he looks clueless.
Hmm.
So in that Asia Cup final, he knew very well that he needs to take the innings long. He needs to, pick up singles and doubles because India was chasing a total. India was three down as well. So the
Hmm.
role clarity that Tilak was having was absolutely clear. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, when Tilak is coming in the second over, no matter whether India is batting first or batting second, Tilak doesn't know what to
Hmm.
do, whether to attack or whether to take the game long. So he looks clueless. And so far as Ishan looked a little bit off color yesterday to me because he was facing a little bit problems against off spinner also. Otherwise, I think yesterday the way Hardik batted and the way Hardik finished, that
Hmm.
is another key takeaway that India would be, fancying on the quarterfinal against West Indies. I think some of the best things that happened in India's batting in a nutshell yesterday that will be very helpful for India in the virtual quarterfinal against West Indies is number one, the inclusion of Sanju, which is giving the entire batting lineup a lot of buffer. Just look at the combination now, how sensible the combination looks. Sanju righty,
Hmm.
Abhishek lefty, followed by lefty Ishan, followed by a righty Surya, followed by lefty either Tilak or a righty Pandya. Then we have Dubey and Akshat to follow. So it is looking a very sensible batting lineup. Otherwise, the batting lineup that
Hmm.
we were having, it was looking very some sort of a predictability was high. So now that is one thing, the inclusion of Sanju. The fact that Abhishek came back to form, that is the second. And I think the third thing that India really enjoyed yesterday was Hardik and Tilak's partnership. because they looked extremely clear within their minds what is expected out of them.
I also think India now have the momentum and the psychological advantage.
Yes.
Why? Because everything is has started clicking again, except few glitches in bowling. On the other hand, West Indies
Okay.
lost the match badly against South Africa.
Hmm.
That will be a bit demoralizing for them.
Hmm.
In that sense, India now have the psychological advantage, and they should feel much better, and they should not again become complacent, because again it's a knockout match, and a very important match, and they should keep their head down, and just focus on what in front of them and play their game. And I think we will be all right against West Indies, because although they have big hitters and formidable batting lineup, but we also have that. What we where we are a bit ahead than them is our bowling. I think we have Bumrah, Varun, Akshar. Akshar's inclusion, we should talk about that also. That Akshar inclusion also have bipped off the bowling, and that is giving us a bit advantage. So let's end this video with that match against West Indies and that discussion, and then we will move to the last bit of this video.
Yeah, so first and foremost, since you mentioned West Indies bowling, so let's see where we are going to play. So it's a Kolkata pitch. Kolkata will be a smaller ground, so the dimensions will be small, and that is, a good news for the batting unit of both the teams. And also, the pitch will not be, this much of a flat. It will have some, help for the spinners also. So now, since we have one person who has not clicked in the last two games that much, that is Varun. Varun is he plays for KKR. He knows Kolkata a little bit. The Kolkata grounds are very very well known to him. That is one good thing that would be working for KKR. And I think where where India actually was facing a problem in yesterday's bowling was the sixth bowling option. Dubey gave away a lot of runs. If you take, subtract Dubey's considered runs, then you will see that our bowling unit didn't work badly. It was pretty fine. It was more than enough. The thing where India needs to focus a little bit will be, and as so just before going to that, I must mention Akshar. Akshar, the fact that he was excluded last match, that is surprising. Akshar never goes out of this 11, so he is someone who is a very very special player. If we look at India's 2024 T20 World Cup success, Akshar was one of the most prominent figures in that who made that happen. Now, if I am looking at one concern that India is having, which will be a little bit problematic on the quarterfinal. And maybe if India wins the quarterfinal in the upcoming matches also, has not yet shown some sort of taking ones and twos, that type of a game. So where India will be, ticking on the scoreboard, India will be, taking the game long. India, even yesterday, that was a very explosive innings that India played. That will not happen every day. But I don't know whether India will get the opportunity. West Indies is a very weak bowling lineup that we saw yesterday also. But when India will be, tested a little bit, whether India can take the innings long, whether India can play an innings where that was played by David Miller, Dewald Davis, and Tristan Stubbs against India, whether India can play that kind of innings or not, that is my question. That will be one such problem that will be a little bit disturbing to me. And another problem is, what if any of the five forefront bowlers that we are having, with Bumrah, Arshdeep, Pandya, Akshar, and Varun, if any of the five bowlers are being hit on any day, which can happen, India's sixth bowling option is almost very, very weak link. I think that will be capitalized by a lot of teams, especially on smaller grounds like Eden. I don't know what. I just hope that we do not need a Dubey. I just hope that all five bowlers that we have are good enough to restrict West Indies.
Yeah. I think India should be grounded, humble, and focus on the task, and should
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
And another thing is, you mentioned about Barun's familiarity with the ground. I think Gigi's familiarity with the ground will
Yes, yes,
also
yes,
help
yes.
in strategizing and making better plans. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
And
Yes, yes.
all right. So I think let's wrap up the video now. I think yesterday's matches reminded us of something important in this particular format of the game. 76 can be chased like 120. We saw that yesterday. And even 97 not out can still end up in defeat. That we also saw. It's a obviously team
Yeah,
game.
I think just
Yeah.
I will add one thing
Mm,
before we end up. One appreciation should be, one loud shout out should be to Brian Bennett. What a talent he has,
yeah.
has.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
He's he's the second highest scorer right now, an average of 277, dismissed only once in the entire tournament. Wow! I think this 22-year-old guy, like he's only 22,
Yeah. Yeah.
brilliant talent, and I think he is one such talent that the franchisees and also the the cricket analysts, the enthusiasts, they will be looking for. He has just marked his presence in this World Cup. Zimbabwe has been eliminated, but Brian Bennett is one such hero that he will be remembered for very very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we say always in this in our channel that scorecards tell you numbers, right?
Yeah,
And the narratives, the context, the stories actually show you the real picture. And Bennett's contribution is one such story that we should highlight. But South Africa looked inevitable, and they are almost looking now unbeatable. India also started to look dangerous. West Indies now a bit cornered. Again, cornered teams can be unpredictable, right? The Super 8, as you all can see and all of us can sense, that now has become a pressure chamber, and we are really excited to see what it will show us and what is going to unfold in upcoming matches. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like this video, subscribe to Deep Point if you have not done yet, and tell us in the comments, is South Africa the team to beat, or is India building something bigger? Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.
thank you.